Hi everyone, I hope you're good guys and welcome to a new video. So today I'm gonna explain what I did in each element of my first jam with the Elektron Analog Rytm. If you haven't seen the performance, you can go to check it. I will put the link in the description and it will appear in the corner right now. So I'm gonna go through each element. I'm gonna talk about as well all of the different parameters and features I use. Basically, I created this jam and this track when I was kind of reading the manual, so I was experimenting with a little bit of everything. So the trig mute, the accent, the rhetoric, the scene, the feel, the performance, the parameter lock, all of these kind of things I'm gonna talk a little bit about today. I'm gonna talk as well about how I made the rumble. So let's get into it. So just to remind you, the jam was something like this. That was more or less the idea of the track. So let's get into it. And just, you see when you have annoying sound, like still playing because it's like kind of a loop, just press 2 times stop and it stop. So the first element, I'm just gonna unmute everything and I'm gonna unmute them. It was the kick. So basically the kick, it's pretty simple, the pattern 4 to floor, and I've used the PD sharp, and I'm just gonna show you a little bit like this. You can see the value, but -20 for the tuning, sweep time 91, sweep depth 94, decay around 85, hold around 88, tick around 69, and I use the sine waveform and the level this way. And that's how I create it. There is no sampled evolve. You can see it's deactivated here. Nothing going on, the filter is down. You can, if you want, like you could like add a bit of resonance, but I didn't. And nothing, and there is no overdrive, because even though I love this overdrive and especially on this kick, it's for this kind of track I wanted something like kind of a round 808 kind of kick, not too much distorted, and then LFO nothing. And that's pretty much it. So I've used the kick to create my rumble, which is on track 5. So I'm gonna show you how I did. I'm gonna use another pattern. So I'm just gonna copy the track and I'm just gonna load, for example, this one here, and I'm gonna paste here. So okay, I have my kick. So how do I transform it into a rumble? So the way I've done it is basically I've dipped my kick into a lot of reverb and delay, and I've resampled it straight away with this direct function in the Elektron. So I've decided to do the rumble on a different track separately because I want to be able to use the delay and the reverb for my hats or my percussion, rather than the rumble. You know, you usually have to filter your delay or your reverb, and so it's easier to resample it and you have more flexibility later, and you can as well use your delay and reverb for your hat and perks. So I have my kick. I'm gonna first send it to the delay. I'm gonna do the delay first and then go to FX delay. So here I don't want ping pong. You can put it in mono, but it doesn't really matter. A bit more feedback. Obviously you don't want high pass filter. Low pass filter, it's up to you, because anyway I'm gonna once it's resampled you can filter it, so you can leave it a little bit more open than usual, it's fine. And then the time I like to put like this, 1.8 point. And usually what I will do, I'm not gonna keep the original signal, I'm just gonna send it to the reverb. So you can blend it maybe a little bit. I will leave it, but probably later. And then you go here and you want some reverb as well. And then on your reverb, down the volume, maybe. Add a bit of groove. That's really depending on your taste. And then here what you can do, you can play with the pre-delay, try to make your reverb offbeat a little. So this maybe I should remove the delay if you wanna hear it better. You see it? Tum-fum, tum-fum. So now I'm gonna bring back the delay. So maybe the delay, yeah, something like this. Then what I will do is, you can have distortion but don't really need. Oh. Because it's gonna anyway do with your kick as well. You can do it after all, but I'm gonna compress because I want to get rid of this kick, so I'm gonna bring the attack at 30 milliseconds and bring down. Alright, so now I get rid of the kick and I just have this rumble. You can and second things you can do maybe now, things you can do now is kind of applying a LFO to have this kind of sidechain, but I'm gonna resample it like this, and anyway later on you can change the start and the end and you can do like this. So the best way to resample, it's easy, you just click here and you can select with the G what source you want, so you can choose the main, so like this is resampling with all of the effect, and you just press function yes to record and you press play. Okay, press yes to stop. And now you just have to crop basically. So you can listen, but if you want to listen, obviously you need to go in the FX and remove the compressor, otherwise you're gonna hear with the FX of the compressor. So now you can hear properly, otherwise it wouldn't have worked. It would have been like with the compressor, it would have been weird. So yeah, for this one it's quite hard to find the trend, and maybe I'm gonna go there where there is maybe a bit more of the delay, but you can chop something in anyway later on. Anyway, you just need something longer. Okay, perfect. You trim, you save, you rename the way you want, and the thing is you can assign it straight away to a pad. So just hit this pad, it's done. And now if you go here, you have your rumble, and if you go to your sample here, so here there is a filter, I don't know with by default, but and probably some distortion as well. Alright, that's your original sample. So you can play it in the same than you kick. Here obviously you kick, you need to remove the send to have it as normal, and mute. And then you have already something. I didn't even need to change the starter, but you can want something subbier, crank the resonance, and then you can go to your sample and you can change the start or the end depending on what you like. Maybe I'm gonna open the filter like this. Yeah, maybe add a bit of overdrive. And now one thing you can do, if you even go further, you can add LFO basically to the volume, and actually there is already one by default. It was probably one of my, that's why it's sounding already good. Actually, it's probably because it was the LFO. And so yeah, it sounds like this without the LFO, and you can just go there and go to your amp volume. One thing you need to have here, like the multiple in 64, and to have the speed on 8, and the waveform to be like the saw, and trigger mode you can put 3 or trigger, and then the depth. So like this you have your bumping effect. And yeah, that's how you get your cool rumble. And like this you can now remodify your delay and reverb and use them for your hats and percussion. So let me go back in the original session. Alright, next up we have this sound, which is kind of a bass sound but more in the high. So for this one I didn't use sample, I used the double VCO. So this is an amazing feature. It's basically allow you to have a mono synth inside the drum machine. And so I've used the mode. You can change different modes. So you can see here it's plus, so basically it's the two oscillator. You have two oscillator and they are both sum together. And the waveform, you can see I choose like kind of a sine waveform. So you can switch basically between the first oscillator. You have two kind of waveform, and after the second oscillator, which is on the right, you have like I think until 5, and you have different modes, frequency. You have ring modulation, RF, which is frequency modulation, or you can do both. And all the time there is the waveform changing basically. So you see here it's like two sine, then you have sine and the kind of weird sine and the triangle or so. I don't know. You can check on the manual exactly what they do, but I've been for this one, which is kind of sawtooth. And the trick here is, so the tuning is the same. -3, but here the trick is the detune. So it gets this kind of, yeah, detune super saw effect, and then the decay one is at 353, 161, bending +8, balance is the same level like this, no sample, low pass filter, obviously like this. That's how I will play live with an envelope, and to have this a bit of attack and pluckiness with short decay, no sustain, short release, very fast attack, and a bit of overdrive but not too much, going through the delay and the reverb. And here again, so the hold is at 3, and then after something plucky around there, and there is no LFO, and pretty much nothing else to say about it. Then we have our Rimshot, which is, you can see it's a 12-step pattern. So in order to do that, you just go to function page and you have scale, and you can like change the mode basically to be normal. You just have one for the pattern and for all the track, or individual advanced, and you can select individually each track. You can, like, for example, track 1 is 16, track 2 is 16, but this one I want 12. And the things you have to do here is the master have to be in, I don't know why it switched back to normal, but it has to go to like this way, because if I don't do this way, if I do, let's say 16, it does something weird. You're gonna see. You see it got 12, 4, and then it restarts instead of always doing 6 or always doing 12. So the only way to do that is to go there and to change the length of the to this way. This way it's not doing this anymore now. You see now it's always playing 12. And so you can hear there is one thing which is on 12, which is a bit weird. And if you go to Trig here, you can see the Trig mode here. I put 3, 5, so that means it's gonna play 5 times the sequence. And when it's playing 5 times the sequence, on the third time, it's gonna play this note. Other than that, it's not gonna play. So you're gonna hear, it's gonna be not playing, not playing, playing, not playing, not playing, not playing, not playing, playing, not playing, and so on. So that's a pretty cool feature of the sequencer that I really like, because like this you can have like some kind of drum feel, if you can say so, from time to time. And the way to do that is I have a retrigger here, which is activated. So you hold the note and you press retrigger, and I've set the length in 132 and the rate in 64. So like this you can this kind of rattle effect really. And yeah, that's what you hear during the track. That's what I've done with this one. So this rattle is playing 1 time every 5 times. Second thing here I have had as well, I had some accent on 7 and 12. So you can see it add a little bit of impulse and add a bit more groove. And other thing I've done here, see if I hold the note, you can see here there is this fill with this bar on the top, which means that when I'm gonna press this fill button, this note, they're not gonna play anymore. So they are all like this, except this one because I couldn't, because I've set this trigger mode. I don't know if it's possible to have both in the same time, this trigger mode plus the fill one in the same times, but I cannot. So when I press this, you see it's just muting everything. So that's, I will come back later when I will talk about the fill function, but yeah, that's basically what it does and how it's automated. And I haven't talked about how I made the sound, but I've used, you can see there is no sample. I've used the Rimshot hard and tuning 13, sweep 89, sweep depth 3, GK 54. So I'm just showing you the parameter 34, tick 1 to 2, like this if you want to recreate it. That's the way. But then you have a bit of high pass filter. I get just get rid of a bit of everything. I send to reverb. And yeah, so then you have the clap, which is more like a kind of snare. So this one, if you unmute and I press, you can see even though all the trigger are on, only the 3 is playing. And same that what I said before, if I hold them and you go to trigger, you can see that they are in fill, but there is not the bar on top, which means they don't play, and except if I press that. So except obviously this one, which doesn't have it compared to all of the other. As you can see, they have it. So this one will be always playing, but this number 3, but all of the other, they will only play when I press that fill button. And the reason why on this one I have to do that is because, you know, there is this trigger condition and it wouldn't have played my clap because it would have played the Rimshot instead of the clap. And the thing is, this pattern is mainly to use as a snare roll. So I want always my clap to play. So that's why I have to do that with the Rimshot. Like this, the Rimshot, when I press this, they are mute, so which leave all the space for the clap. So the way I made them, I use both sample and so you have this one first, and you have this noise as well. So both together, and so the source is like this. You have rate at 140, rattle, number at 29, random 49, clap at 73, this 0, this 62, 67. I'll just show you in case you want to recreate it. Obviously, there is no special reason. It's just like, you know, you tweak until you find something. And then there is the sample, which basically it was this Rimshot that I've used, which is like the on the bank, and tune a little bit up, and nothing, start a little bit. So now with both, and you can see it's pitched down. I don't know if, yeah, they're both pitched down, 2 octave down. And then if you go to filter, high pass filter again, and very sharp, here, very sharp attack, very sharp decay, hard on 4, and some delay and reverb, a bit of overdrive. And yeah, the clap play like this, except when I play in the field. So I will talk to the field later. Let's jump. So the 5 is the rumble. I already talked about it, so we can skip and talk about the track number 6, which is a little bit special. So you can see here, even though you have 5 notes Trig, you just have 1 playing. The reason being that I'm using Trig mode. And basically the track I will first have this 3 note playing, and then after I will put this one together. And basically I've done like this because the 3 first notes, I've used them more like to create this melody, and I use basically the source, so like the synth engine, rather than the 6 I had the sample on top. So yeah, let's dig into this and see. But the 6 you have as well the source playing. So basically the source, if I remove the sample for the source, I use the XT Classic, tune it this way, 35, sweep 85, sweep depth 0, decay 88, tone 0, note 5, noise level 100. And the main thing here is the sample. So the sample, I use this piano aura, which is as well in the default library. And I haven't done much. You can see it was already good this way. Nothing is applied. But now if I bring back my Trig mute, I need to reactivate this. So this one you can see they are kind of playing a melody. So you can see it's like plus 10, plus 9, plus 13, plus 4. So this I use parameter log for that. And you can see as well, I've used parameter log with the filter as well to bring it down, because basically the sample, if was too high and I'm wanting something more like this. Anyway, you have the envelope. You see you have a low pass filter with the envelope, and that's how you get your things. And then I'll go just on the delay, not on the reverb. Bit of overdrive, but very gentle. And yeah, and then it's with the trigger mute that I mute basically one or the other. Basically you have 2 leads in one track. This is a cool thing that you can do with Elektron. Even if you have one track, you can have like kind of using the synth engine for one type of sound and using maybe the sample for another type of sound, which is really great. And by using this trigger mute, it's allowed you to being able to mute one without muting the other. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So now let's go to this one. This one is an interesting one. So it's kind of weird ambience, and for this one I've used a sample, so it was ground noise. I haven't done much to it, just like set the start and then tuning is the same with -2, but that's it. But I've looped it, so this way it's always playing. And yeah, obviously I filter it, and you can hear there is some modulation. You have a LFO here, which is a saw wave. Here it's 216 multiple, and which is going to the filter frequency. So this way it's like making the high pass filter sweep up and down, which is adding movement, and which is usually work well to create this ambience in the background. And the LFO add movement. I send it to delay reverb, a bit of overdrive, And yeah, that's it for this one. So this one I haven't used it because obviously this ambience I needed to play it all the time. So if I was triggering something here, it would have cut this one. So I couldn't have done that. So next up is the close hi-hat. And you have this pattern, but there is a few things to keep in mind. First, if you check the velocity lock, for example here, okay, it doesn't change nothing, but for example 2 it's 107, 3 it's 107, 7 is 107, 11 it's 107, 10 is 107, and 15 is 107. So always the 2 and 3 and the 1 off beat as well. So I could have used accent, that's true. I've used it as well already for the 1 off beat, which is kind of get this little jump off beat, which is nice, add a bit of groove. And one thing I haven't talked about, but it's swing. So you have swing, but to be fair with you, I didn't put it. I think it was like this by default on the template, because if you check all of the tracks, they all have the same. And I probably, after all, left it because I create basically the track with all of this swing on all of these track by default. And so on the end, it was sounding good. So I just for sure, I reduced the percentage, which is like now 54. So it's just a little bit. So yeah, it probably had a bit of swing. But yeah, that was something unintentional, but which was sounding great. All right, then, sorry, how I made the sound, I just used the close hi-hat classic and bit of tuning, GK, color. I really love the hats on this analog rhythm machine. They're really sounding great, a bit noisy and a bit metallic, but like noisy, but no annoying, no harsh, you know, like very soft. It's really nice. And high pass filter. And into a bit of reverb, overdrive as usual, and nothing on the LFO. Alright, that's pretty much it for the close hi-hat. Now you have the open hat. So here you can see you have like something happening, like a rattle, like the same than before. It's again a retrig here. Just the length is a bit shorter, but otherwise the rate is 32. And it's playing all the time. I haven't done anything like, for example, here, so it's always playing. You have an accent as well. Just give again an impulsion just before the rattle. I don't know, I just found it nice and add a bit of variation. Remove accent. And yeah, in terms of sound, I've used just the sample, just the synth engine. So it was I had basic, 12, -8, 17, 115. Again, I love this one as well. Sounds really great. So then I didn't even actually filter it, didn't feel it. A bit of reverb, a lot of reverb, and yeah, that's it. So then when you play with, sounds like this, both together. All right, so now with the right, sound like this. And so to make it, just use the synth engine again, pretty good, cymbal right. And I didn't even tune it, I think. Just here, this one, I've bring it down a little. Other than that, nothing special to say. High pass filter. And maybe a bit of overdrive as usual, just a little, because don't want to distort too much, but just to add a bit of harmonics. And yeah, you have accent on the one off beat. which gives this impulsion. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, nothing else special. And same with the second ride. So the second ride is just like kind of I would say like a percussion, let's say, because it's just playing at the end. It's more like a, I'm wondering, again is the Sound Engine Cymbal Classic -3 64 to no filter amp. It's just like this, nothing special here. It's just going into a lot of delay and reverb. And yeah, you got now all of our elements. So before to jump into the scene, the performance and the feel, just the overall effect, what I've set. So delay, I'm just gonna show you, it's not especially reason, 1.8 ping pong with like this feedback this way, and I filter the delay. Alright, and I send it to the reverb. No pre-delay, a bit of decay. This is 83, 92. I'm just showing you the value, there is nothing, just high pass the reverb this time, obviously. And to don't have the low frequency, and I didn't have any distortion because I didn't want it, but yeah, nothing special on the master effect. So first thing I wanted to talk is the feel. So you can, I'm gonna remove the ride, but you can hear when I press this, I don't have the kick and the rumble playing, neither I have this one, and I have the clap playing. The way to do that is on the kick. You can see here, I forgot to show it, but you have the feel here as well. So basically, when it's, remember when it's like this, it play, but it doesn't play when I press feel. And you have the same here with the rumble. You can see all of them, they have these feel things. So that's pretty cool, like to have feel drums. I could have been a bit more crazy maybe with some other stuff, but like I said, was my first jam, and that's the first way I thought how to use it. Like remove the kick and bass and use it like a snare roll. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the feel. Now you have a scene. Scene here, what it does. You can hear it's kind of a low cut. So it's the only thing it's doing, low cut. So to do that, let's hold scene. At this scene we are in edit mode. And if I select this, you can see there is 7 parameters locked. And you can see now is the rumble selected. And if I go to filter, you can see on the rumble, I use a bandpass filter. The reason why I think I didn't use a high pass filter because it was cutting too much frequency. So like the bandpass filter was kind of a good compromise without still having a little bit of the bass, but not too much. And for the kick, here I have a straight up high pass filter. So this is the classic techno low cut. So this way, when if I quit this mode, edition, and so this is something I haven't, like, I like the idea that you can have a low cut, but the thing is, for example, if, let's say, I'm in this mode like this, I set the low cut and I want to unmute the ride, for example, you have to be quite fast, and I haven't found another way around to do differently, but, for example, imagine I wanna quickly after go to mute and unmute them, you have to be like, it works. But, you know, it's not the easiest. Same if, for example, let's say I want to get rid of all of the... After the low cut, I want to get rid of all of the hats. It's not super sharp. It works, but yeah, you have to be fast. Alright, and then finally I've used the performance mode. So I've used it with the knob. Basically, you can use this Q perk that you can mute or unmute, and you have this knob basically, because basically Q performance works by velocity. The more you press the performance pad, the more the effect will be. So hear what it does. You can hear. If I press gently, you still hear the kick, and there is a bit of reverb. And if I press stronger, you don't have the kick anymore in the bass, and you have way much more reverb. So that's what performance does. You can like press, and according to the velocity and how strong you press, it will accentuate the effect. And you can map this to this knob here, so this way you don't really need to go on this page here. You can just like be on, I don't know, the mute page, and then still. So this, for example, I can use the fill at the same time. And yeah, so the way I've set my performance, so hold a little, I'm gonna select this one. So you can see there is 26 actually parameters which are locked. So remember, every time I lock a parameter, the more I press the pad, the more it will accentuate the effect. So for example, you could hear like the kick and the bass disappear. And if I go there, you can see on the kick that the volume is going negatively. So which means like slowly I get rid of the kick. I've done it as well with the filter, which kind of do both simultaneously. And it's the same for the rumble. I haven't done the filter, but I've applied same with the volume. So the more I will press on the pad, the more it will bring down the volume of these two. And then for all of the other track, you can see that I always send a lot of delay and reverb for all of them. You see, if I select, it's kind of a washout effect. I send a lot of delay and reverb. Even some of them, they have already a lot of reverb. But the second thing I've done is if I go to my FX, and here you can see how the decay, it's going to the maximum when I will press as well. So which is making this, accentuating this washout effect, like sending, basically the more I press this, the more I send the element into the delay and the reverb, and the longer the reverb becomes. So it's kind of getting this big mess, which sounds cool. And on top of that, I have the volume of my kick and rumble, which are going down. So this way, if I quit this, so I can control the intensity here on like mid intensity, and I can press stronger. It's easier with the knob, so that's why I've assigned it. And plus, you know, like I said, I can like do different things, and I still have my master effects. This is similar to my riser rack I've made, basically. And yeah, that's pretty much it, how I've used it, which sound I use. So I just used the internal sound. I didn't use anything else. It was really like the first jam that I was discovering the machine with. I still have a lot to learn with and to experiment with. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, Sky. I hope you like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you soon, guys. Bye bye.